Speaking of crimes, let's talk about when criminal behavior pops up in readings. I do have a testimonial that is actually a follow-up from prior testimonials because this particular client takes excellent notes and pays very close attention to them after the fact. For some backstory, this particular client had a psychic reading where information came up about how nefarious behavior and the behavior of bad men could fly under the radar. Miss G says, "Hey there, Andy. Without a surprise, I'm back again. Unfortunately, this update is on the wild side of things. I'm first going to dive way back to April when you gave me a psychic reading. A very large theme was nefarious behavior and bad men. A couple of months ago, I thought I cracked the code when I sent you the follow-up about my husband's work situation. But of course, it doesn't stop there. In the reading, you also mentioned May and a woman being in danger. This also related to my husband's situation. However, this weekend took a crazy turn. My grandmother told me that she had a foreign boyfriend who she had been speaking to for 9 months and had been sending him money, as he was posing as a famous K-pop star. I'm just sharing this now because for 9 months he was telling her not to tell her family and threatening to off himself if she made the wrong move. He was also telling her to never tell her family about him and that she couldn't have any male friends, which is a major red flag. I feel in my bones that this was the main reason my spirit brought those exact details up in my reading, because she had just started talking to this man a few months before my reading, and her birthday is in May. This man was financially and emotionally abusing my grandmother for the past 9 months, all while pretending to be a celebrity. And I had absolutely no idea, and I had seen her multiple times in the past 9 months, and nothing seemed off. Fast forward to my reading that I had in July. You asked about someone with cognitive issues on my mom's side, and you said that I was getting a thank you in advance. I can't help but believe that this is the thank you, because if my grandmother hadn't told me, and I hadn't told the rest of my family, this random person was planning to come to her house today. As far as the cognitive issues, it's becoming more clear that this grandmother may be suffering from some type of cognitive decline while believing she was dating a celebrity. I do have more updates, but I had to send this one due to the fact that the evidence fits so perfectly. I know it fits with my husband's situation as well, but I feel as though this goes to show just how strategic Spirit is with the way they say things. Thankfully, my grandmother is safe and the situation is being handled. I thank you so much for such an accurate reading, and I can't wait to be back for a longer mediumship reading. I mean, I must be due for some positive future information after these crazy updates, right? LOL. All joking aside, despite the unfortunate update, I truly appreciate you sharing your abilities, and I will be back for a reading very soon. Best, G." So that is a pretty wild chain of events where a theme and accompanying evidence fit in multiple places for the same group of people to convey the exact same lesson. If that doesn't speak to the intentionality of spirit communication, I don't know what does. And again, I am so glad everyone's okay because WTF, right? We need to talk about the importance of your going to the doctor outfit when you're a woman. It is an unfortunate reality that when women go to the doctor, particularly for anything, any health problem that is not abundantly obvious, that she must wear the perfect going to the doctor outfit. Because if you look too good, they're going to think you're making it up for attention. If you look too bad, they're going to think, you're a psychiatric mess. That is to say, your hair, makeup, and wardrobe must convey to the doctor that you are unwell, but you must not look too disheveled, and your outfit must very carefully not give away anything about your lifestyle, your preferences, or anything about your personality. If you show up looking a little too alt, they're going to say you're nuts and have psychiatric disabilities and that you're definitely just anxious. And if you look too buttoned up and matronly, they're going to go ahead and assume that, it's menopause. Couldn't possibly be anything else. It's got to be menopause. And if you show up looking too sexy, they're going to fixate on the fact that, you might be pregnant. So they're going to ask you if you're pregnant 14 times when your cycle last started. And they're going to force you to take a pregnancy test, even though you insist you're definitely not pregnant. For all of you out there who have to put together the perfect going to the doctor outfit, just know that I'm right there with you. This stuff has actually come up in readings before, like how to convey the issue to the doctor in a way that gets you taken seriously. That is something that has actually come up in readings before. Just know that I've experienced it. I'm seeing other women experience it, and that's a very real phenomenon. And if you're a woman and you haven't gotten the results that you wanted out of a doctor or the care that you paid for out of a doctor, don't forget to review your hair, makeup, and wardrobe and make sure you're sending the right message. Again, whatever you do, make sure your outfit has nothing to do with your personality, lifestyle, or preferences. I got profiled once for wearing leggings. I was going in for blood sugar issues, and they're like, well, maybe you're just exercising too much, because I was wearing my little exercise leggings. So just know I'm right there with you. We're all right there with you. And if you've got a doctor appointment coming up, don't forget to plan your outfit. And on the note of medical stuff, let's jump back to mediumship. I wanted to talk about something that does happen quite a bit in readings. I'm just going to share a quickie example. I was reading for someone, and I was explaining that I was looking at a pet on an operating table, and this area of the body was opened up, and I was looking at the rib cage and the muscles on top of it and the organs underneath. And that person, in a totally justifiable way, was like, oh, is it a dog or a cat? And I'm like, I actually don't know. I'm shown such a tight clip of the situation that I can't see if it's a dog or a cat. I couldn't see the texture of the fur. I couldn't see anything. All I was seeing was like an animal's chest cavity. And the reason why I'm explaining this is because there is a point where follow-up questions and minutia are unnecessary because the person I'm reading for already knows exactly where that fits. And in this situation, the dog or the cat, whatever it was well known to the individual. They knew exactly what I was referring to. But that kind of situation can happen a lot with medical stuff, because when I receive medical stuff personally, I am looking at the body part in question. I'm not seeing like the big picture. What I'm seeing is if there's a pancreas issue, we are looking at a pancreas. I'm seeing the pancreas. If we're looking at a bone with some metal in it, I'm looking at that bone. I'm not seeing the flesh on the outside. I'm not seeing anything else except what's going on in that area inside the body. So, little caveat when I get medical information, just put the information where it goes, especially if it's glaringly obvious to you. That helps both of us keep the ball rolling and keep the energy flowing so we can keep getting good information. So, yeah, fun fact about medical stuff, I get very doctor house with it. I'm kind of looking inside the body. And not everyone works that way, but that's the way I work. Most of the time. There are, of course, occasional exceptions. And sometimes they'll zoom out so I can get more information. But at the end of the day, we're all just along for the ride. They present the information they feel like presenting. I'm just the translator. I'm not doing so great on the segment format with the show, but I'll go ahead and tell you what pissed me off on the internet this week. Do you guys see the AI slop that they're turning into Halloween decorations and Christmas decorations? There's some content creators who are calling it out. Basically, as an artist, I am sick to death of seeing AI art. As a writer, I am sick to death of seeing AI generated content. What was the point of why did I pay all that money for a college degree? Someone please explain this to me. And of course, back on the topic of social media, we need to talk about all the things that came up in readings in the past 2 or 3 weeks or so that are now in the headlines, one of which was cartoon or animated rabbits and trampolines. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's all over TikTok. Someone did some really convincing AI videos of rabbits jumping on a trampoline that was supposedly caught on someone's doorbell footage or whatever, their Ring doorbell footage, and it was AI. So I'm going to circle back around to the kind of topic at the beginning of this episode. If you've got old folks close to you that you love who are on the internet, maybe have a quick conversation with them about, first of all, the understanding that K-pop stars and celebrities are not trying to be your friend in the DMs, and they're never going to need your money. Give them a conversation about you can't believe every video you see. The rabbits on the trampoline are not real. Super cute, but they're AI generated. It did not actually happen. So if you have that conversation with your elderly loved ones to keep them safe on the internet, you're doing the Lord's work. And please know that that's probably going to be an increasing problem going forward. And I think that's why Spirit decided to point out the cartoon or animated rabbits and the trampoline thing in advance of its occurrence. If you've got elderly people on the internet, that's a safety issue. So that's why that would come up. AI deep fake videos are probably going to be an ongoing problem for the rest of the lifespan of the internet. Here are some other things that came up in readings in the past 2 or 3 weeks that are definitely in some of y'all's notes from readings. So if any of these things are in your notes, you owe me an update message or just drop it in the comment section. Hey, this was in my reading. Here goes the list. Sydney Sweeney, Brooke Shields, Genetics and DNA, American Eagle, Abercrombie, Denim or Jeans, Mumbling, Elena Gilbert / Twilight TV or movie fashion, recession fashion, baby doll tops. All of those things came up in readings in just the past few weeks, and those are big headlines right now. Trending topics on social media, etc. I know it all sounds stupid, but obviously there was a lot of political and social justice discourse around the Brooke Shields, Sydney Sweeney advertisement thing, so that's why that would come up. And, fashion trends are important to some people. As always, if weird information comes up in your readings, just put a circle around those names you don't recognize, the locations you don't recognize, the concepts or themes you don't recognize, because every time something big happens in the news, go look at the names of the people involved, go look at the locations where those things happened, look at the themes of those things. It might have gotten mentioned in your reading. Sometimes those things get mentioned, anywhere from days or weeks in advance to years in advance, depending upon how major and serious the consequences and ramifications are. So yes, your departed loved ones know what's going on way before we do. And on the note of animation and how far technology has come, let's talk about horror movies. I love watching older horror movies like pre-1990 because the special effects are usually done with makeup, costumes, interesting props, chemical reactions, etc. And I love that because it's impossible to be truly scared by it because it's fake. It's great, but it's clearly fake. That's why I enjoy older horror movies. So if you're in the mood for an older werewolf movie, you're in luck. There is a movie called Bad Moon. This movie is a great example of why you should believe me when I say that tent sex is overrated. Don't do it. There's your relationship advice for this episode. But circling back to this movie, it had a great theme in it. How well do you really know your family and friends? Use this as a journaling prompt if you want. Sometimes friends and family grow. They become better versions of themselves. And sometimes they regress or become worse versions of themselves. I'm always a huge advocate for going low or no contact if that's really what the situation requires. Yeah, kind of a silly movie, but very thought-provoking overall message there. So I think that's it for this episode. I have Zoom groups planned finally. They're available through my website, andyrayemedium.com. There will be links in the show notes. I have one scheduled for September 24th, I think. It's a Wednesday. You'll find the dates there on my website. It's an 8-person Zoom group. Everyone gets a reading, runs for about 2 hours. If we have a full house, we will very likely run over. But Zoom groups are always a good time. And of course, there's a spooky season event planned as well. You can check out the dates and information for that, again, on the website, link in the show notes. Check me out on TikTok, Andy Ray Medium, on the Evolve Plus app, Andy Ray Psychic Medium, on YouTube, Andy Ray Psychic Medium. Subscribe and follow everywhere so you don't miss another episode. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time.